Soundcast.
This is a Village Soundcast Network original production.
This is Less Than Live with Kate or Die, a bi-weekly podcast about comics from all angles. I'm going to talk to you about what I'm reading and doing in the industry, as well as interviewing some of my friends and favorite creators. So come along with me on this journey into geek culture. On today's show, comics, traveling, the emoting powers of Matt Fraction, and a very special interview with the creative team behind The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, Ryan North and Erica Henderson. Well, hi guys. We're back. We're doing a podcast a week after we gave you a podcast because I went away for so long to enjoy the sun. I told you last time about what was coming out that I'm doing, but Bravest Warriors number 29 is out this month, and Edward Scissorhands number 4. That's about it. Fraggle Rock's done, and we're just waiting on the book collection, which I believe is in March. I believe it's out in time for Emerald City Comic Con, but these things are never 100%, so, don't take my word for it. It's an exciting time for that, but also online, and I did not mention this last episode, although it is true. I'm now doing comics once a month for The Nib, which is a subset of a website called Medium, not The Medium, I guess just Medium, not like a person who can read or has ESP. But The Nib is a collection of comics by different cartoonists. They often feature artists like Rich Stevens, Erica Moen, and John Rosenberg, and they have added me to their roster, which is very exciting. So at least once a month, on top of the 2 comics a month, at least, that you get from Comics Alliance, you can get Kate or Die at The Nib, and I believe that is medium.com/The Nib, or just Nib. Google it. I believe in you. So that's an exciting time, and that's fun, having webcomics on top of everything else. I'm going to a couple of conventions in the next little while. It was Christmas time, and I got to actually just hang out either here in the whole horrible cold in Canada, or I was in California. But I'm going to some shows, so let's talk about them. She was here, and now she's gone. Clicked her heels, now she's at the car. Who's feeding her cat? My roommate. Who's working shit? Lisa. What's the next city on Kate's Content? So on this week, the exciting Valentine's week, if you're reading it as it arrives, first of all, happy Valentine's Day. I love you. You're beautiful. But secondly, I am gearing up to restart convention season. I'm not going to anywhere near as many shows this year as I was last year because whether you consider it fortunate or unfortunate, I got an American boyfriend, and it's really great. So I keep going there to see him instead of flying to a different convention every other weekend and driving myself crazy and never sleeping or getting anything done. But it's not to say that I've become a hermit. I'm still doing things. I am one of the headlining guests, although that sounds very egotistical, it's just literally true, at Staple Expo in Austin. And that is going to be happening on March 7th and 8th. I'm going to be there alongside other guests I absolutely love. I'm so excited for the show because it's an all-female headlined con, and they're not really going about it going, yeah, it's just women. It's just like, it's what they did, which is really cool. But it is myself, Jess Fink, Janelle Aslan, and Babs Tarr. And Jess Fink is an amazing cartoonist. She does a comic called Chester 5000, which is an erotic, robotic Victorian romance. Babs Tarr is the current artist on Batgirl. We've talked to her on the show before, and she is a joy. And Janelle Aslan is currently one of the 2 people in charge of Comics Alliance. Her and Andrew Wheeler recently took over from Andy Curry, a longtime friend of mine, and she's running that now. She does a million other things. Janelle has been in the business a long time, and she is a take no prisoners badass. So the 4 of us are headliners at Staple. You can find us there at the Marchesa Hall and Theater on March 7th and 8th. I will have my booth babe with me, and I'm very, very excited about that. Coming up later in March, I'm also going to be at Emerald City Comic Con in Seattle, which is one of my favorite shows on the planet. I went last year for the first time, absolutely loved it. The thing is kind of on the scale of a New York Comic Con, or almost a San Diego, but It's run by an amazing group of people. And they were one of the first conventions to spearhead the cosplay is not consent movement, basically meaning that you treat cosplayers and other people in costume with respect. Don't be creepy to them. Don't take pictures of them while they're eating. Don't say gross, sexist things to them. So Emerald City, it's an amazing show. And last year, almost the entire crew behind Welcome to Night Vale were there. I was there with Boom. All my people from Topatoco were there, and I think this year is kind of going to be no different. There are a bunch of panels that I'm on. At the time of recording this, I wasn't 100% allowed to talk about them, but guaranteed they're going to be on the website. It's emeraldcitycomiccon.com, and you can see all the things I'm going to be doing. I'm on at least 4 panels, and they're going to be really cool. I'm going to be tabled with Topatoco on the Sky Bridge, which is in the beautiful natural light section of the convention center. And I'm going to have tons of stuff. And even if I don't have Adventure Time books, they're literally right across from me. So if you want to go buy one, you can bring it over and I'll sign it. And again, my booth babe's going to be there. Isn't that cute? Boyfriend. He's the best. I'm really excited for these shows, and I've got a couple more coming up in April, and then further into the fall, then nothing really planned for summer yet, but we'll get to those on future shows. Con season is happening. Oh, God. Oh, God.
What is Kate reading?
What am I reading now?
What is Kate reading?
What am I reading now? Now, we mentioned it more than once on this episode, but we're recording a little bit in advance of when we're putting this guy out. This guy being the episode. Probably shouldn't gender it, especially since I'm a lady, but hey, whatever. So I might be a little bit behind on my recommendations, but I'm a little bit behind on my reading. So whatever. Here are some things you should be reading. Squirrel Girl #2. Obviously, we talked to Ryan and Erica in this episode, but damn, it's an amazing series. It's so fun. It's so silly. It's just great. I mean, Squirrel Girl, Doreen Green, she's a college student who also happens to have all of the powers of a squirrel. And you should check it out. Ryan and Erica will tell more about it later, but oh my gosh, I just love it. It's so silly and so fun. On the complete opposite end of the spectrum, Witches #4 was out from Scott Snyder, Jock, and Matt Hollingsworth, which is the continuation of this creepy rural noir witch story that they're doing, and the twists and turns in this thing. It's, since Lock and Key, there hasn't really been a comic that's had me kind of gasping and uncomfortable and a little bit freaked out at the end of an issue, and Witches really does it for me. It's incredible. I love Scott Snyder when he does Batman, but there is nothing better than his pure horror stuff, and it is super great. So check out Witches. I would not be surprised if a $10 Image trade paperback was on its way out soon, but you can get the first 4 issues for relatively cheap, and they're definitely worth it. Lady Killer #1 and 2 are both out, and this is one that I picked up late, but so many people listening to the show or friends of mine recommended it to me, and it's pretty neat. I mean, I'm excited to see where it's going to go. Lady Killer is by Joelle Jones, Jamie S. Rich, and colored by the inimitable Laura Allred. It is a story, it's a period piece, seems to be very, 60s-ish, stylish, about a woman who is a contract killer. She's a hit woman, basically, under the guise of being an Avon lady. And it's a very interesting take on that sort of suburban retro lifestyle mixed with murder. It was a concept that I heard about it and went, yeah, okay, that could work. But it's gorgeous. It's absolutely gorgeous and really fun. So 2 issues of that are out. Definitely check it out. I like lady villains. I like ladies in action. What can I say? On that note, Velvet #9 is out, and if you haven't read it yet, I don't even know. I mean, I recommend it every time. It's so good. Of everything Ed Brubaker's doing, and everything Ed Brubaker does is amazing. You know that. I know that. But Velvet is just this, completely other level thing that I never feel gets the attention or respect that it deserves. And I mean, I know people are reading it, but it is so good. And Velvet, again, is a story about a woman who's working in an agency much like James Bond would have been, a Secret Service kind of thing, and gets framed for the murder of someone else involved in her agency. And she's been out of the game for a while. She's in her 40s and is basically forced back into becoming a spy and running all these routes and traveling all over the world and rekindling old contacts and things like that, and revisiting her past. Steve Epting is drawing this one, and it's colored by Betty Breitweiser, who's amazing, and it's just such a great story. In the latest issue, she meets up with someone who was involved in her agency a very, very long time ago and was sent to an insane asylum of sorts. And she has to break him out because she believes he might be the only person who has been out of the game long enough that he couldn't possibly be part of setting her up. So it's cool, and it's weird, and it's dangerous. And Steve Epting draws such beautiful women. And I can't help constantly comparing the main character, Velvet Templeton, to Stacy from What Not to Wear, because they look very similar, especially with the white streak in her hair. But, if, the host of What Not to Wear was a cool super spy. So definitely check that out. If you're interested in comics that haven't come out in about 6 months, Hawkeye came out with a new issue to the surprise of, I think, a lot of people. Finally. I love Hawkeye. I love that series. I'm really sad that it sort of petered out and ended. Matt Fraction is, again, one of my favorite writers. I love how real his shit gets. There's really no other way to say it. He touches on, vulnerability and depression and honesty in even his superhero comics in a way that just other people don't. I mean, it makes you feel like other comics you're watching a scripted show, whereas Fraction's comics are a bit like eavesdropping. It's a bit voyeuristic because it feels so real. And even in Hawkeye, it's that way. And if you read this issue and if you read the series, you'll know what I'm talking about, even especially towards the end. So Hawkeye is wonderful. I guess they've got one issue left, and then it's moving on to a new creative team. Jeff Lemire is involved, so it's still, I think, going to be great. But Fraction's run definitely holds a special place in my heart. Last but not least, Miss Marvel came out. So many issues that you can catch up now. There's a trade. And that's G. Willow Wilson, Adrian Alfona, and Ian Herring is coloring that. Just continues to be really awesome. This one kind of wraps up the story of the inventor, this villain that she's been facing against. And it's really cool. I mean, there's a lot of... I really enjoy the moral of this story, that people shouldn't give up on this generation just because they're sort of technology obsessed and everyone's staring at their phones, and people are really quick to write off, youth for getting involved in things like that and for caring about social media, but that, we're people and we can make a difference. And it's moral heavy, but I think that works for the comic. And I really love the art, and I really love what Kamala means to a lot of people. And I think, having a Muslim superhero in the Marvel world is so important and opens a lot of doors for them to continue diversifying. And I hope that they do, not just Marvel, but everybody. So these are all amazing comics. You should read them all. Let's move on.
Kate's having a contest and you might win. Lots of great prizes for you and your kid. Why don't you enter? You never know, you just might win, 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 win. The Great Kate Comic Contest!
So we did a contest here at Less Than Live where we asked you, the audience, people in general, to send us pictures, selfies particularly, of you listening to Less Than Live. And we got more responses than I was even expecting. So that was really, really cool. And before we get to the people that did win, which was an incredibly hard choice, believe me, I just want to say thank you so much. We got so many cool and interesting and creative and some completely terrifying submissions for this contest. We're definitely going to be doing more, so if you didn't win this time, don't worry about it. More things will come along, and there will be more ways to participate and interact with the show. But we can get to the winners. So we have a tie. Had I had my way, there would have been 9 or 10 winners at the very least, but we managed to boil it down, although we could not pick between Naomi Wagner and Greg Thielen. I'm sorry if I'm saying your names wrong, guys. Neither of you were a John Smith. Sorry. Both Naomi and Greg sent absolutely adorable photos. Naomi sent us one wearing a Harry Potter shirt, taking an awesome selfie with a really, really cool illustrated sign that she had made. And Greg sent us the creepiest set of images of him with my weird icon face photoshopped on top of him. But it was very charming. So many of you, again, just sent so much great stuff. But Greg and Naomi will be getting in contact with you about doing your special interviews, whether on the air or off, and your prize packs. Everybody else, again, thank you so much for participating. We'll do lots more.
She's so sweet. Caleb is gonna answer your tweets.
At Gin and Teacups 93, who goes by the simple name of just D, period, on Twitter, wants to know, in a battle royale style scenario of all of your favorite comic creators, who would win? So I'm assuming this means that a large number of comic creators are trapped together on an island, and only one of them can live and escape from the island. In which case, I'm probably going to have to say that Chip or Kelly Sue would take it. Chip, I think, would charm everybody. And Chip Zdarsky, of course, is who I'm speaking of. I feel that he would charm everyone enough that they would side with him up until a point that he would just be the only guy left standing, because no one would want to. Who would kill Chip? Nobody would kill Chip. And Kelly Sue is incredibly brutal, also small, so I feel like she would have the advantage of being able to hide. Although the bright hair, she's like flaming red hair, might give her away. These are the first two things that came to mind. I mean, I don't really know. I don't know a lot of comic creators who are really brutal or very into like martial arts. So I feel like Chip would be the last man standing. Tom Spielman, who is at Tomtificate, is that like certificate? Tom something? Okay. Tom wants to know, how do you get into the mindset for writing each of your series since they're so different? And this is actually a pretty simple process. Every time that I have to watch, or every time that I have to write Edward Scissorhands, I watch at least part of the movie. I skip around to different scenes, kind of pick and choose the tone that I'm going for, and we'll rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. And I can almost recite the movie word for word at this point. And it's the same thing with Bravest Warriors, where I will go and watch a couple of episodes just to get in the head of the characters, in the voice, I guess. Because, you know, the one thing that really bothers me when you read a comic of a licensed property, especially something where it's off of a cartoon or a movie, where unlike a comic, that character does have a very specific voice. I mean, there's a cartoon voice in a way that they talk and a cadence to their voice. So when I'm reading something based off of a cartoon that someone has written and it doesn't, you can tell when something sounds like a phrase that a character would really say. So I really want to get that right, and I really want to be in a character's voice. So it's mostly about going back and rewatching. I think if something was based off of a written property, it would be about going back and rereading. It sounds really basic, but it helps. It helps a lot. I mean, I remember one time I talked about how I had been marathoning Bob's Burgers, and I tried to write Edward Scissorhands, and I kept writing everyone like Linda Belcher. And I had to go when I went and rewatched some of the movie and went back, realizing that that's not how any of the characters really talk. So it's important. Malt Schlitzmus, and I hope that I'm not pronouncing that wrong. It may be an alias, I'm not sure. Asks me, what are the most absurd build your portfolio by working for free requests y'all have ever had? Now, I'm going to assume that this question was for everyone on the interview, but I'm answering it myself, and y'all is just going to be me. So, personally, I've definitely gotten more than a few, especially when I was starting out. I think I definitely don't get anywhere near as much of them now. I get a lot of like, oh, we can't pay you much, but work for us. Although I definitely, when I was starting, got a lot of, I want to write this cartoon, or I want to write this comic. Would you draw it for free? I've had a lot of people ask me to submit to contests or other things where, it's, draw an illustration for this or a page for this, and it might be featured in this. A lot of companies will do that, where they will have contests where you can design a poster for something, and if you win, they use your poster and you get a little prize. And I'm kind of really against those things because you're basically getting free design work from people who are too young or inexperienced to know any better. And I really, that stuff kind of squicks me out. In general, I think if anyone ever asks you to do your chosen profession in something that you paid to learn or spent years studying or have spent years practicing and developing, that's not cool. Nobody should do that. I would not ask someone to fix my kitchen sink for free because, it's something that I can't do. Anyway, I don't think there's any one particular thing that's been super bizarre, although I am always surprised by people who will come up to me at tables at conventions and be like, oh, are you doing sketches? And I'll say, well, it's this amount of money for me to do, an ink drawing for you, or for kids, I will do real quick sketches for free. Or, even if you're just like a nice person or whatever, you catch me and I'm not exhausted, draw a little something. I'm not like a horrible person. But I've had people ask me to do, fully inked and colored drawings at shows. And then when I tell them the cost of it, they're just like, why would you charge money for that? It's just a sketch. Like as if that's not a totally legitimate thing, as if it's not an illustration that takes time and effort. And I think a lot of people don't know, and I think it definitely a lot of the time it does not come from a place of malice. It's just, a lack of knowledge of how these things work. And I try and tell people, and I try and explain it very nicely, but I definitely have had people come up and be a little bit rude about that. So sometimes if you ever catch me at a convention and I'm a little bit off, that has probably just happened. So mostly I've been pretty lucky. But if you're a person out there ever asking an artist or a writer to work with you, don't tell them to do it for free. That's not cool.
Are you ready for this? Kate needs attention, needs a push, needs some product. Kate wants a yacht to party with Kaiju in the water. Needs some Gucci and Armani, she's a real fashion monster. So have a listen to our sponsor.
In case you haven't heard, Less Than Live has launched a Patreon. If you want to know what that is, good news, I'm going to tell you. A Patreon is a monthly subscription service or kind of a crowdfunding platform where if you like the show, you can support it financially with money, which is really great because the show it costs a little bit of money to make. We do it in a real recording studio, and the guys here make those amazing songs. And everything that I'm saying right now, you can watch me say better and with video on the actual Patreon page. It is patreon.com/lessthanlive. And there you can find out what it's all about. So pretty much you can choose an amount of money, if you're interested, to pledge to us monthly. And for those specific amounts of money at different levels and different amounts, you will get different rewards. You can get a voicemail message from me. You can subscribe to get a biannual package of goodies and swag. You can have advance access to what guests we're going to have on the show, to ask questions, and these things are going to change and develop as we go along, and we're going to invent new things, and I just really want to make it kind of a cool, interactive, behind-the-scenes experience, and to show, people who do subscribe and who do support the show a little bit extra, and get you all involved. So you can check that out, again, at patreon.com, that's patron with an E in it, /lessthanlive, and donate a little bit of money if you want. That'd be cool.
Kate's gonna interview you. Kate's gonna interview you now. She's gonna ask you questions. Kate's gonna interview you. Kate's gonna interview you now. This is the interview section.
All right, so this week we're talking to two people yet again. One of them is not my mom. Not that that's a disappointment because both of these people are very exciting. The team behind The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl, the new series from Marvel. Here we have Ryan North, who also does dinosaur comics, did the first 35 issues of Adventure Time, works on any number of things, To Be or Not to Be, which is a choose your own adventure version of Hamlet, which has just become a game. Erica Henderson has done a whole bunch of different art online, someone that I've been following for a really long time and is the artist on the series. Worked on a comic called Subatomic Party Girls. And they're both here. Hi, guys.
Hello.
Hi. Welcome to my podcast.
Thank you. for having us.
You're
Great to
welcome.
be here.
So I just read Squirrel Girl #2 today, and I love it so much. I'm very happy that this exists.
I'm glad you like it, and this isn't like an ambush interview.
Yeah. Wouldn't that be great if I just brought you on to go, so guys, Squirrel Girl,
What happened?
what happened? What went wrong? How did you get this job? But no, it's really exciting. How long ago did you guys know that you were going to start working on this?
Oh man. I got the first email about it in August, but the first email was like, hey, we may or may not be doing a Squirrel Girl book. We don't know if they're going to let us do this. If you want to do a drawing of Squirrel Girl, that'd be cool. And so I sort of knew since August. And then like 3 weeks after that was the beginning of August. And then like 3 weeks after that, there was, no, that was late June. But anyway, in like late August, suddenly everyone was saying like, oh, Marvel's trademarked Squirrel Girl. It's gonna be a movie. And I was like, oh, I think I know what that is.
Oh, wow.
And then, yeah, sometime after that, actually, I think Ryan emailed me first because we didn't know each other and we didn't know who was going to be on the team. And he was like, hey, I guess we're doing this book. And I was like, oh, that's cool.
Well, it's kind of like a dream team because I remember when I saw the announcement, I found out on Tumblr. And when I saw it, it was this perfect moment of just like, oh my God, I'm so excited that exists. And like, God, I wish I was doing that as well, which I think was the same thing for a lot of people. It's just like, it's so weird for Marvel.
That was actually my experience with it, where they asked me to send in, like, if you were going to write a Squirrel Girl comic, what would it look like? So I took the weekend and wrote a pitch for it. And when the first emailed me, I was like, Squirrel Girl, I don't know about Squirrel Girl. That might be crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And then after I spent the weekend thinking about her, I ended up thinking, I definitely want there to be a Squirrel Girl comic, and I definitely want to be the guy writing it.
That's pretty awesome.
Yeah, I think I had a similar reaction at first where I was like, huh, Squirrel Girl. Okay. But I was also in a place where I wasn't going to turn down Marvel asking me to do a book.
No, God, no.
But then after I thought about it for a bit, I was like, I'm so on board with this.
Yeah.
Well, it's really great. I mean, I think it's totally one of those things where I don't think this comic could have existed before the world of Miss Marvel. I mean, they've got this audience for younger women reading it, and they're kind of taking a little bit more of a risk in terms of those characters. Like, I can't see them having done Squirrel Girl 4 years ago, maybe in the 90s. But it's
Maybe
really
in the 90s. It would have been a totally different book.
It would have been so different.
Yeah.
So it's really cool, and it's kind of paved the way, and it gets me really excited because I think now that sort of poses the possibility to do so many more weird comics. And I mean, it is weird. I don't like weird obviously is not a negative thing, but I mean weird in that it is so much different than the rest of the Marvel books. On that, like, how tied into continuity are you guys?
It's funny. I read there's a scholarly essay you can look up, and I believe it's something called very similar to That Can't Possibly Be in Continuity, Squirrel Girl and the Problem of Female Power Representation in Comics.
Oh, no.
So I read this. Yeah, it's really good. Well, it talks about the argument.
How long ago was this?
It was before we launched. I think it was last year. But one of the arguments it makes is that Squirrel Girl, the more powerful she gets, the more she's shifted out of the standard Marvel universe and into this fourth wall breaking, talk about the contents of the comic thing, which is fun and interesting. But the argument was it serves to shunt her into this sort of parallel mode of existence where her power doesn't really affect the real universe and she didn't really beat Doctor Doom and that sort of stuff. And I read that, I was like, interesting.
Well, it's weird because, like, that's Deadpool's thing, and he's clearly in the 616, so I don't see why her being in this position would change where she exists.
What's the 616?
The mainstream Marvel universe.
Oh, see.
Yeah, there's like 1,000 dimensions, and that's the regular one.
Oh, see? I'm so outside of this
and
world.
We're in a Marvel universe right now. The real universe has a number 2, but I forget what number it is. It's not number 1 either.
Oh, okay. Well, that's fair. Well, yeah, because it totally it's so crazy to me that it is. And it's done so well. I mean, I don't know, obviously, in terms of numbers and things like that, but from my end, just like the critical response to it, and people are so into it. And that must be really exciting because you guys, obviously, it was probably kind of a risk trying this crazy new thing.
It was really gratifying. And the first letter column talks about, I hope this book can find an audience because it's different and weird. And I think, having like preview panels online helped a lot, and showing people like this is a book about Squirrel Girl and this is the kind of book that it is helped a lot. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I'm glad people are reading it. I'm really glad people are reading it.
Yeah, I think we were all pretty worried before it came out. And yeah, the reception's been great, and the first issue has a second printing now, so that's awesome.
It's so awesome. It's so great. I mean, it was something that, I was obviously super excited for. Ryan, this is your first like Marvel series?
Yeah, I did that miniseries for Original Sins.
Yeah, with Young Avengers.
5 or 6 issues, yeah.
And they let you bring the alt text at the bottom of the panels over.
Yeah.
Which I think is so cool and crazy.
Yeah, I didn't get any pushback on that at all, which was great.
That's so awesome.
We can print that.
It's been pretty easy working with them. I think it's partly because we're a weird book. Mm-hmm. So it's definitely a book that's about the team. So if we want to do stuff, as long as, it's not illegal, like NFL Super Pro, that there hasn't been a lot of pushback. Yeah.
It's kind of cool.
I didn't know who Super Pro was. And then I started reading about Super Pro, and I really wanted to put Super Pro in, but we can't.
Oh. I had a Wonder Woman joke in Bravest Warriors that they were just kind of like, I don't think we can do this. But I think, there is kind of the benefit of being one of those sort of, I don't want to say fringe, but it's not like the Avengers where you're so beholden to the movie universe that everything has to be, they're going over every line of every page, and that's got to be kind of freeing.
Yeah, I actually didn't answer your question about what universe. It takes place in the actual 616 Marvel universe. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I remember emailing Will, and I guess this is a small spoiler, but Galactus shows up in the first issue.
Yes.
And I emailed Will, and I was like, this is my first time writing in a shared universe like this. How much do I have to address the question of, why doesn't Spider-Man show up and deal with this? Why doesn't the Fantastic Four appear to help out with this situation? And he was like, well, it's not really something you should worry about. It's fine. Like, don't stress it too much. And I was like, yeah, but I got Galactus showing up. There's going to be a lot of people wondering why Galactus is here. So that's the origin of the gag in the second issue, where Tippy Toe says, he's got a stealth field around his ship. No one can see it, but he forgot about the squirrels, and that's why we can see it.
I thought that was
always
really
forgot
great.
About squirrels.
I really enjoyed all the squirrels. It's like the squirrels have been in the observatories watching. I like the idea that that's just always happening.
Yeah, no, they're always watching.
So I know it's a pretty standard question, but a guy named Zane on our Patreon asked what it's like going from webcomic to working on a project as big as Marvel. Now, Ryan, I know that you were working on Adventure Time, which is the same, a licensed property, like someone else's character sort of thing. But I guess what's the difference in terms of working with Marvel for both of you? It's like a really standard interview question. I don't usually do that, but let's go with it.
I feel like I have been really lucky doing this thing, because you hear horror stories where like the editors have their own idea and they're gonna like tear apart all your stuff, and it's really hard to work within these constraints. But both at Boom and at Marvel, it's been great where nobody really says no to our crazy ideas, and so it feels like writing your own book that happens to be published by Marvel and happens to have this great distribution. And I was thinking today, like, Squirrel Girl's 20 pages. If it were a webcomic, you do it Monday, Friday, that's 20 pages a month. Mm-hmm. So you could think of it as like a webcomic that we do a page a day on, but it's not.
And you have to wait several months before anyone can read it.
Yeah. Oh, that's
the killer. That's the killer right there.
Yeah.
That's the thing that has driven me the most crazy, I think, is writing something and then realizing nobody's going to read it until 5 months later.
Yeah, and then when 5 months later comes around, you're excited about the book that you've written 5 months ahead.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there was one, like when we were at TCAF last year, I wrote a bunch of these inside jokes, and this was super early on into Bravest Warriors and super early on into me doing any kind of sequential stuff, but I wrote these inside jokes that Sarah and Tom McHenry said at breakfast one day, and I was like all excited. I'm like, this is so funny when they read it. And it was like 5 months later, it wasn't funny anymore.
We all learned a valuable lesson.
Yes.
I feel like I have that issue when the comics come out, because like I'll really love it when I first get the script and I'm working on it, and then like I'll have read it so many times and looked at it so many ways by the time it comes out, I'm excited by the script that's going to be out 3 months from now, and I'm like, I hope people like this issue that's out. Like I still like it, but like I've been so inundated in it that's like, is this still as good as I thought it was? I don't remember.
But the next one's going to be even better, you guys.
It's going to be so good.
Now, I looked at I've seen a couple older Squirrel Girl comics, but did you guys make the decision to have her have, like, squirrel chipmunk teeth? Like, did she, because most of the images that I see, she doesn't have the two. This is just the thing that I'm personally curious about.
She's always had them, and I think, I feel like in her first appearance and in Great Lakes Adventures, she had them showing all the time.
Okay.
I think it was more so in when Mike Diodato was drawing her, and she wound up just looking more like traditionally sexy, that he hid her teeth. Like they were still there, but they weren't sticking out.
Right. Yeah, because it's sort of on and off. It's a thing that I really like about the character. And I had often, I mean, I wonder a lot in these situations if they tell you to make a character traditionally sexy or things like that, or if there is any pushback about that, or if they were like, no, this is fun. But
there wasn't any. Like I did like did you see the stuff on Project Rooftop that got posted, like all those early sketches?
I don't know if I have.
I think it's still on like their front page if you want to check it out right now. But like I did all those, and I sent those in, and there was one that I did a little more polished, and they were just like, "Yeah, do that one." So it wasn't even me that selected it.
Oh, cool. Oh,
I mean,
yeah. No, I've seen some of these before. They're so awesome. I love her little jacket.
Yeah,
it's so great. So I mean, yeah, Erica, like this is. A new thing, I guess, to work for Marvel and do that kind of stuff. Are there any particular characters in the world that you like really, really would love to draw in Squirrel Girl? I mean, Kraven was amazing.
Oh my god, I was so excited when Kraven was the first bad guy. I was so excited. No idea.
He must be so fun to draw.
Oh my god. I also did not realize that nobody else apparently saw him as a sexy character.
Oh, well, they're fools.
Because people kept being like, "Oh, you're drawing Kraven so sexy." And I was like, wait, is that not how it normally is?
Have you not seen this hunk of man?
Because I'm pretty sure he's just like a more buff Freddie Mercury, guys.
Yeah. That's kind of what I always thought. I mean, he's
like
animal
a
print.
Finland character.
Yeah.
It was a Less Than Live alumni, Chip Zdarsky, who suggested Kraven for the first issue. Actually, I was talking to him about it. I was like, "Who should she fight in the first issue? I'm not sure." And he was like, "Why not do Kraven?" And I was like, "Why not do Kraven? That's perfect."
That's awesome.
Oh, but to actually answer your question, I think I'm mostly excited about Dazzler, She-Hulk, and Hercules.
Oh man, Hercules.
I know. I love Hercules.
That would be crazy.
I haven't put any of those in yet.
I know.
Yeah, I noticed.
But now we know.
But
Dazzler
I
would be
don't know,
awesome.
in issue 5.
Not angry Dazzler like she is now.
But like classic roller disco Dazzler?
Yeah.
That would be pretty great. I would like to see where she would fit into that college world. I mean, I like that too, where she is like a college-aged character and kind of just like going to school. And that's really awesome. I love her roommate. Big fan. And the cat. I hope the cat gets lots of airtime. Mew. Mew.
Mew.
It's Mew,
Mew
right?
cat,
Mew.
based on 2 actual cats. I
Yeah.
wrote Mew based on a cat I know, and Erica drew Mew based on a cat she knows.
Tell me about those cats. The people want to know.
Mew she hates men. This mean-spirited cat. My friend Lucy found her on a bench in a park. This is poor kitten in a Tupperware container.
Oh my God.
She was like, "This is monstrous." She took the cat home and nursed it back to health, and it's a really lovely story. And they both sort of saved each other's lives in some very meaningful and important ways. But she just hates men. This cat just does not like men at all, or me. But it's fine.
Mm-hmm.
With mine, it's this cat, Ceci. My friend Izzy, her mom, like they're Brazilian. Her mom's always in Brazil, and she found this like tiny sick kitten in Brazil and like got it all shots and like papers to bring it back to the States.
Oh my God.
And it's like the world's tiniest little white cat with blue eyes, and it just has like constant angry I hate you face, but you can kind of do whatever you want with her. Like you can pick her up, whatever. She just doesn't care as long as you keep her warm.
Right.
See, my Mew's the opposite, where she looks really nice and adorable, and you touch her and it's like claws her out and blood's flowing.
Oh, she's a scratcher?
Is she more of a piercer?
Oh,
Oh,
oh God. I used to
She's
live
a
with a
great
cat
cat.
like that. That's awful. Well, I'm glad to know that there was so much backstory.
I sent Rico a photo of Ceci. Actually,
Wow.
I was like, "This is the cat, Rico." I couldn't just be like, "It's white with blue eyes." I sent him a photo of this cat.
Sometimes that's important.
That's awesome.
But that's really awesome. I mean, you guys are sort of, for me, a bit of a dream team. Like, I had you known each other before at all?
No.
Wow.
I feel bad about that, actually.
What? Why? You
Because
can't
we get
meet
along really
everybody.
well, and I'm like, I feel the absence of potential friendship in the past that could have been there if only we weren't ships in the night.
It's okay. It's okay.
Now you're making up for last time.
Yeah.
Well, I think for me, it was one of those, like, I'm friends with both of these people. I enjoy both of their work quite a lot. And then it was because I think I'd never seen you guys talking online or anything that it had never occurred to me. And I remember, did I text Betty Fellon maybe and was just like, what? How is this happening? How did I not know? And she's like, oh, yeah. Because Betty knows everything.
Well, she knows because she lives like 2 blocks from me.
Yeah.
So, like, I was literally just having coffee with her boyfriend like before this podcast.
Well, she appears at some point in
She's
Squirrel
in issue
Girl.
1.
She's in
They
issue
both
1.
are.
Yep, which is perfect. I would really love to see how many times Betty Fellon has appeared in a published comic because she is the most popularly drawn, I think, individual.
I know
Which is great.
Somni drew her into Daredevil as a reporter.
Mhm.
She's in Batgirl.
Yep.
Like, I think she's actually in the same issue as me in Batgirl. We're both
Oh,
like on
awesome.
the subway.
Yeah, because Andy Curry's in that one too.
Yeah, I think we were all on the subway together.
Nice. That's
Um,
awesome.
Trying to remember who else put her and stuff. I can't remember.
It's weird. I feel like all the time she's posting like, oh, I was in this, which is awesome. And you live in that crazy Somerville crew area with like every artist.
Yeah, we've got Betty and Jordan and Joe Quinones, Maris Wicks. Why am I blanking all of a sudden?
Ming Doyle.
Ming Doyle, yes, and Neil Ciceriga, who's a different kind of artist, but still.
The greatest.
And then Emmy is like nearby.
I've still never seen Emmy when I've been in town there, but I'd like to.
It's because she doesn't actually live in Somerville. She's like far away.
Ryan, you have to go visit this area because it's like every nice, amazing artist lives in this one city.
Yeah, I didn't know about this, and I'm hearing those artists.
You gotta.
Go visit.
It's great.
Hey guys, it's me from the internet.
Yep. I once went to a party at Ming Doyle's and ate a lot of vodka gummy bears and got food poisoning. But
Trying how to make a good impression at a party.
That's I really did. But it is the greatest, cool little community. And Joe did a cover for Squirrel Girl, did he not?
He did, issue 2.
Yeah. It's awesome. I just like it. It's just cool because you guys are all part of the same crew.
That sounds great. Did I tell you my ultimate fantasy of
Yeah,
Pal
please.
Mansion?
Please.
My ultimate fantasy of Pal Mansion is similar to what Somerville sounds like, where we all live in a giant house, like an apartment building, but it's like a mansion.
Of course.
and we all live together as pals. That's it.
That's the extent of the fantasy.
Yeah, I mean, the problem with fantasy, it falls apart when you look at it more closely, because it's like some people are better pals with some people than other people are pals with those people, and relationships always change, and moving out is such a dramatic thing, and how do we stop drama from happening in this utopian society we're building?
Right.
But the idea of Pal Mansion is, I think, something that is very important to me and drives a lot of what I do.
I think it should happen. I think you should make it happen.
Well, this sounds like Pal City, which is the next step up from Pal Mansion.
Yeah, we're all like just far enough away that like if you need time by yourself, you've got it.
Yeah, like Pal Villa. I feel it would be like a bunch of houses, but with like little coffee shops.
It's like the better version of those libertarian cities that you find out in the Midwest.
Yeah. Yeah.
That sounds great.
Ryan, you can be mayor.
I don't want the responsibility. I want to be like number one pal.
Oh, well,
not
Chip
mayor.
can be mayor because he ran for mayor once, right?
That's true. It's true.
Yeah.
So
He has experience running for
His
mayor.
concession speech was amazing.
I've never heard it.
Oh my
I
God.
don't think it was recorded, but it was at this bar, and he didn't make a concession speech, so we read his victory speech. It's all about proving his dad that he wasn't proving to his dad that he wasn't a screw up. And believe in yourself, you can do anything.
Oh, I love
It was
him
amazing.
so much. Oh God, he's so good.
Oh
Oh,
my God.
sorry. I just wish I'd been there. Now somebody on Twitter, because we get questions for the episode, people get curious, and a lot of them are from Cohen. Ryan, you saw. But somebody asked, Nick Bowen asked, what would be a perfect Squirrel Girl tattoo design? And while that is a question, I feel like we all know the answer here, which is the nuts about that booty thing. Or otherwise, I feel like tippy toe. I'm really big into tippy toe. But other than that, I'm not really sure. And what did Cohen ask you? Where is he? That guy. Something. Oh, he wanted to know why you wouldn't admit that he was taller than you, Ryan.
Because he's not.
Now, Ryan, for the audience at home who might not be familiar with you because they are fools, how tall are you?
I'm in what's it called in the States? The system of measurement, imperial.
Yeah,
Imperial. I'm 6'6.5", or about 2 meters tall.
Wow. So yeah, I mean,
Ryan is literally a foot taller than me. Okay.
Ryan is a foot taller than everyone.
I say I'm 6'6.5" because my dad's 6'6", and that gives me that little bit of an edge over my father.
So you come from a tall family.
Yeah, I guess so. The thing is, I don't know what this says about me, but my idea of tall is taller than me. So there's very few tall people that I've ever met. And my idea of short is shorter than me, and there's no gradient there. And so people say, "Oh, how tall is Kate?" I'm like, I don't know. She's not tall.
Shorter than you.
But is she short or is she average? I don't know. So my idea of what their height is, honestly, I have to sort of compare them to where they are compared to my wife. If I'm hugging them. So it's a very personal experience to tell you if you're short or not.
Well, I mean, I distinctly remember. I think the first time that I ever spent any time with your wife, Ryan. I remember being like, "So how did you meet Ryan? And like, what did you think about him?" And she just like looked at me. She's like, "He was very tall."
What?
And she was very happy about that. And that was kind of the end of the conversation. She's like, "He was very tall."
Seals the deal.
All right. Cool.
Amazing.
I feel that. Shannon Waters wants to know, Ryan, if you are a human or a wizard man.
I think we can all agree that wizard is a calling, not a race, so that I can be both.
Oh, okay.
Wait.
But good question, Shannon.
Isn't it a race depending on what? Okay, I'm gonna get really nerdy now, but depending on which particular fandom you're looking at. Because like with Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, they're like races, right? You
Are
can't
there
just
races in Harry Potter?
It's sort of like the way a mutant's a race. It's like the next step of evolution.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
Because you're like
turn
born a
13
wizard.
and
Yeah. Well, wizard is nature versus nurture. You can't become one, but you can be born to a wizarding family and not have powers, and then you're a squib, which is like the worst.
Why do they never address that?
I wish they would. I wish like we would get...
really shitty.
Yeah, it's awful. I mean, it's like unless you're born to a pure wizarding family, basically everybody looks down on you, because if you come from Muggles and you're born a wizard, you are a mudblood, and if you're born from wizards and you will become a Muggle, you're a squib. So basically, unless you're a pure blood wizard, you have like a crappy made up garbage name, which is really sad.
That sounds a lot like a racial epithet too, like mudblood.
Mudblood.
It totally is. It
Yeah.
totally is a racial epithet.
Yeah, it is. It's really bad. It's super offensive. You're never supposed to say it in the Harry Potter world. I mean, I can say it because it's fiction, but if I were at Hogwarts, I would get slapped. Probably. Probably. I don't know. I've never been. I've never checked it out. So, Ryan, I'm going to ask you a thing quickly because I have you both here and I want to talk Squirrel Girl, but also, Brian, you have a game that came out just like days ago.
Yesterday, I think.
Yesterday.
Yeah.
Yesterday. Oh, I mean, this is going up a couple days after we record it, but
Just a few days ago.
just a few days ago.
Well,
I didn't even think about it when I said
February 4th, I believe.
There you go. Which is the video game or interactive version of your book.
Mm-hmm.
The book written by William Shakespeare and you. And
I helped him out.
And you, in quotations, the audience. I bring that up as a prompt for you to tell us a little bit more about it.
My first job interview I ever did, it was for computer programming, and it was an hour-and-a-half interview long, and I was supposed to be a shoo-in because my friend recommended me, they liked what I was doing. And I thought a job interview was they would ask you questions and you would confirm or deny the factual nature of those questions. So they'd say, like, do you know C++? And I'd say, yes, and just sit there. I guess I haven't broken that habit because you're like, yeah, you did this game. I'm like, I sure did.
Tell us more
Proceed.
about it, Ryan.
So To Be or Not to Be is the choose-your-own-path version of William Shakespeare's Hamlet, where you can play as Hamlet or Ophelia, or as Hamlet's dad, King Hamlet. But if you choose him, you die on the first page and have to investigate your own murder as a ghost.
Oh.
And now it's a game where you can save your place. There's narration, this amazing audiobook narration that plays with each node. There's achievements, which is kind of ridiculous and kind of amazing. It's really, really exciting and fun. And if you've ever read a book and wished it was a computer instead, I've got the game for you.
I feel that way all of the time.
I know, you're like, I'm reading, but I wish I was playing a computer game. This can happen now.
Well, that's really cool. It's such a useful thing because I've gone through and read the book a couple of times with different endings, but I'm always Ophelia is my thing because I can't. I always want to be a female protagonist.
Well,
I know.
I didn't mention the best part. Every ending has a picture by all these different amazing artists, including you.
It's
Kate.
true. It's me. I'm in there.
Yeah, although you don't have an Ophelia ending.
No, I don't.
So you've never seen your own art.
I've never gotten my own ending. I got close to it once by accident, but just like I didn't. I was like, I know where this is going. So do you? I ask this question as if I don't know the answer. Do you have plans to do anything else like that project?
Yes. Thank you for these continued prompts.
I'm very okay at my job.
No, they're great. They're great. Yes, I just finished a first draft of the sequel book, which is called Romeo and or Juliet.
Which is amazing.
I'm really excited for it. It's even better than the first book. That's so egotistical, but I think it's better than the first book because it's bigger, crazier, more awesome.
Now, are you planning to do the same illustration thing with the endings in this book?
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think that Erica Henderson will be in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Pressure's on, Ryan.
No, I need to get the text finalized first because I haven't.
No, I figure it's a bit away.
I don't want to commission pictures that I then have to be like, I don't need this anymore. Sorry, I wasted your time.
I'm the worst.
But yeah, you both wait a couple months and you'll be getting emails from me saying, hey.
I'm very excited about it because I always liked Hamlet, but Romeo and Juliet is such like a sad, horrible story.
Oh, when you say horrible
Hamlet
story.
isn't a sad, horrible
That's
story.
true, but Hamlet's Danish and my family's Danish, so I have this weird like love affair with the book.
I love Hamlet.
Even though more people die in Hamlet, now that I think about it.
There's a Romeo and Juliet version or Juliet version where you can kill way more people than in Hamlet.
Nice.
So there'll be some dead people too. Something to look forward to.
So Erica, other than Squirrel Girl, like, is this kind of a thing? Are you doing any other stuff, or is this? I mean, I know how much work it is to do a monthly comic, so it's probably the biggest consideration right now. But are you working on any other things?
I'm actually doing a book with Thrillbent right now. It's like a 24 chapter book. I think it comes out this month.
Oh, sweet.
Maybe? I don't know.
Tell me about it.
I forgot. They haven't said anything yet, so I'm not sure how much I can say beyond that it's written by Seanan McGuire, Hugo winner. And that it'll be on thrillbent.com.
Cool.
I've also been working on a book with Brian Clevenger that we've been kind of trying to get out there. We did a Kickstarter for it in December, which was a bad idea because no one's spending money on themselves in December.
That's true.
But I think we're just going to do his webcomic later on. I'm not sure when later on is, but we have like at least 20 pages, like all done in color and everything right now. So,
well, that's pretty cool. I just wonder. I mean, the superhero. I have no idea how different it is than the comics cartoon to like that little market. So it must be crazy. So cool though. You'd write Squirrel Girl. Like all the time, I just think about how nut. Oh God, no! How nuts
it happens
is.
all the time. You can't avoid it.
It's just you got to roll with it.
Does it just happen all the time now?
It does. You notice to say it all the time. I was talking to my friend Emily about this. Emily does the photos for Soft World, and she told me about a friend of hers who suffered this mental illness all of a sudden, and she was being told the story and kept saying, "Oh my God, that's so crazy." I mean, that's so unexpected.
Yep. Well, because as soon as you try not to do something is when you do it more, I think, in those situations. Not always, but frequently. So I think that was the end of my prompting questions. I think people are just generally like, Squirrel Girl is great. Do you guys have in terms of like, where you're going in this series, do you have pretty epic, lofty goals? I mean, I know, Erica, you want to have Dazzler in there. I just want to get this out there. The loftiest of goals to have Dazzler. But how like grandiose is the scale going to get here? Is she going to the moon?
I mean, yeah,
she
I guess
she's
that's
going
a
to the moon.
spoiler. She says she's going to the moon.
Okay.
And the guy who wrote it just said, yeah, when you asked her she's going to the moon.
So she's going to the moon.
She's definitely going to the moon. To fight Galactus.
Second question, how adorable would her spacesuit be?
It's pretty adorable.
Is it really adorable?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I bet it's so adorable.
I think I just wrote spacesuit in the script, but I knew that Erica would make it adorable spacesuit.
I imagine. Yeah.
Well, it was interesting because I think you didn't put any details in there, but you specified that it should be like a prefab spacesuit. So
she doesn't have time to make her own spacesuit.
Right. Galactus is coming in like 2 hours, which is not a spoiler. So she doesn't, she has to like grab a spacesuit from somewhere else.
Right.
But, so it was like how to like make, you did specify bubble helmet. I was trying to figure out like how far I could go with this. Which basically just meant doing a 50s like pulp cover spacesuit.
Well, it's almost to me like, I mean, one of my favorite things obviously about Squirrel Girl and about that costume design is that she tucks her tail into her pants to have a giant butt, which I think is the greatest. It just makes me so happy.
What I loved about that was when the first preview page was released, I remember reading comments, and you should never read the comments, but I was like, what are people saying about Squirrel? I want to read the comments. And there was a page of her with her tail fighting, and the next page was her just walking down the street with the tail tucked into her pants. And the comments were like, oh, I can't believe they forgot to draw her tail on this page. How embarrassing. And then they released a page with words showing, like, she tucks her tail into her pants, the little mirror panel that Erica drew.
Mm-hmm.
And then the comments were like, at least they fixed that tail thing from the last group.
Oh my god! As if that wasn't like a pre-planned thing.
Yeah, like we were like, oh crap, we forgot the tail throughout the entire book.
Thank you, anonymous internet commenter. You saved us.
Because I love it.
She mentioned the tail tucked into her pants thing.
Well, I think it's great. I mean, it's so funny. And it's obviously so insane because that's an enormous tail. Like,
I figure hair probably compresses. I don't know. I had long hair for a while, but never tried squeezing it.
Well, I figure when I wash my ferrets, they get like to be a third of the size, or like sad little skinny sticks. But when they're dry, they're just gigantic goofballs. So it makes sense to me.
Now tell us about your ferrets, Erica.
They're pretty stinky.
Good. Good story.
We'll stop.
That's it? All right.
I don't know. They're just my pets. They're my ferrets.
What are their names?
They're Bruce Valanche, and Oreo.
Very nice.
And
they're research material now.
Are they?
Well, I mean, if you can use them to tell how small compressed hair gets.
if we can get Beastmaster in there, I guess. We'll just do the Beastmaster crossover story at some point.
That'll be great.
And I'll just write them off. Just write off all the food.
That'll be great. One person, this is unrelated to Squirrel Girl. I'm jumping all over the map today because why not? I have you here. You can't go anywhere.
Very squirrely of you.
Oh,
gosh. They don't all go in the comic.
But they will now. I mean, I assume. Ryan, you are part of, because you do so many things in so many different capacities, part of a book series endgame called Machine of Death. Are you not?
I am.
Just describe that for us briefly.
Machine of Death actually springs out of a dinosaur comic I wrote in 2007, I think. The premise is there's a machine that takes a sample of your blood, and then it spits out in neatly printed words on a tiny piece of paper the exact manner in which you will die.
Right.
It doesn't say when, it just says how, so you might get old age, and you think, woo, I'm set for life. But the machine has this old world sense of irony to it, so old age might mean you die, at 110 surrounded by your loved ones, or you might get run over by a octogenarian behind the wheel of a car 2 seconds later.
Right.
So you know how you're going to die, but you're still going to be surprised when it happens.
Right.
And so the comic was really just T-Rex describing this idea. And then we had a forum at the time called Truth or Beauty Bombs that still exists. And we sort of had a let's put on a show sort of attitude. We're like, hey, let's write some stories about this. We'll make a book. And then no one wanted to publish it for years and years. And then finally we said, fine, we'll publish it ourselves. And put up on Amazon. And the day we launched it, we became the #1 best-selling book across the entire site, which was amazing. And
I remember
Glenn
that
Beck
day.
got mad at us too. Remember him, Glenn Beck?
Glenn Beck got mad at you?
I remember that. I remember reading his reviews and being like, what the hell is wrong with this guy?
Well, it turns out that we just picked a random day, a Tuesday, and it turns out Tuesdays are when publishers drop their new books.
Yes.
And so we launched against Glenn Beck's launch, and he was accustomed to debuting at #1. And he didn't because of us. So we said he called us out as part of a liberal culture of death, which was amazing. And so we sent his show a copy of the book with his own death slip prediction inside that said paper cut, and we never heard back.
You did? Oh my god!
That's beautiful.
That's so ballsy. I love it so much.
But what is he gonna do? Talk about it and give you more publicity?
Yeah, which is exactly what he did. I was like, thanks, national radio.
Wow. So he complained about Machine of Death on the radio.
Yeah. Wow. He's like, look at this crazy book. I can't believe this new book out called Machine of Death. He's really doing us a favor. It was amazing.
That's kind of great.
Yeah.
That makes me really happy. So you do that with David Malky?
And Matt Bernardo, yeah.
And Matt Bernardo. And there are 2 books?
Yeah, there's a sequel called This Is How You Die. That is, again, better than the first book. The first book's great, but we have a choose your adventure style story in the second book. There's
very nice.
A hygiene manual kind of story. It's so much bigger and goes in all these different directions than the first book.
Someone on Twitter asked if you ever planned on doing a third one.
Yeah. Well, we've done 2 books, and we did the board game.
Yes.
And I feel like there will be more Machine of Death in the future, but the last time we did a book, we had 2,000 stories.
Whoa, wow.
That were sent to us. That's a lot of stories to read.
That's a lot
and
of
they came
stories.
from every continent, I think, including Antarctica. I don't remember.
Damn.
There are a lot of stories. And so we're sort of, if we do open submissions again, that's, we have to block off a couple months.
That's crazy.
So I think there will be more Machine Death in the future. We're just not sure what form it's going to take yet.
Well, that's exciting.
But it's a fun premise and a fun book.
I really love it. I think it's really fun, and I especially love. You guys have done this a couple of times at conventions where there's like a Machine of Death Pictionary type game, where different cartoonists will pull a word, which one of them I believe is squirrels. Is it not?
There may be squirrels in there. There's one in the deck for sure.
Yeah, and then draw how you die, or like what they interpret that to be.
That was all David's idea, and it worked really well. His new one we've done at a couple shows is Urban Dictionary definition game.
Yep.
Urban Dictionary is this awful site of people just making up slang. Where like, this is what Jimmy said. Jimmy's hilarious. So it's a lot of like really inaccurate slang, and a lot of it's really sex obsessed, which is hilarious.
Super sex obsessed.
Super sex obsessed.
Although it did come in handy. I'm gonna tell the story. It's a great story.
Yes.
When I was in college, a couple of the summers I worked at this fashion company. And it was like, sort of middle of the road, middle-aged lady kind of fashions. You would find in like, sort of maybe like lower end Macy's, like, so not low end clothes, but not high end either.
Right.
And so like all the designers are sort of like middle-aged and they have like families and whatever. And I was a intern / gopher. So like you could, if you sign in as an intern, you like either get paid or credit, and I wanted money. So I was like I was like right below the assistants. And one day, one of the designers, Michael, comes in with like this Lord and Taylor t-shirt. This is back when like companies like that were selling t-shirts way too much with like a bad slip print.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
And it had a drawing of a guy in a sombrero, and it said Dirty Sanchez. And I was like,
God.
And I'm just sitting there in the room with all the assistants, like trying not to crack up. And they're like, what are you laughing at? And I was like, did you see Michael's shirt? And none of them knew this term. So I had to like, in the middle of work, go into Urban Dictionary and explain to them what a Dirty Sanchez was.
Oh, great.
And then we had to figure out who was going to tell Michael.
Wow.
That was one of the better days at that job.
I remember first coming around to Urban Dictionary when I watched the Aristocrats. That movie where it's all the comedians telling like the world's dirtiest joke, and which I don't think I could even watch now. It was so offensive. But there were so many terms used in it that I was like, what does this mean? And I got lost down a really disturbing rabbit hole. But Dirty Sanchez was definitely on there.
Yep.
Ugh.
Yep.
Well, this game that we played is where you can do 2 ways. One is you take the name of it and you'll have to invent what the definition is and see who's closest to the truth. And the other is you take the definition and try to say what it would be called.
Mm-hmm.
And we invented this game while waiting for a seat at a restaurant and with our phones. And I feel like we got a seat sooner than we would have otherwise because we were just saying the filthiest garbage.
And they wanted to just get you out of the way?
Yeah. We're like, this is called the slippy surprise. We'd all invent what the slippy surprise was. And knowing that the definition is going to be something unspeakably foul, we'd have to try to hit that mark. It's a fun game to play with your trusted friends who don't have microphones on them.
Well, I was on that panel at Emerald City last year, and Chip Zdarsky,
amazing.
Less Than Live alum, won because he actually guessed the correct definition for something really disgusting.
Yeah.
I don't remember it entirely, but I remember it was feces related. And he won. He got 2,000 points. The rest of us had like 7.
But he earned those points.
He did earn those points. That was amazing. I felt so bad about being part of that game.
We had a rule, right? No cameras for that panel.
Oh, I'm sure someone has it recorded.
Yeah.
I shouldn't even be bringing it up now.
Like bootleg, illegal convention stuff.
God. Ugh. I can understand why people decline to be part of that because it might ruin them for the rest of their lives.
But here we are.
Here we are. We come now towards the denouement of the episode, wherein I usually ask what comics you guys are reading that you really like or would recommend. Ryan, if you want to go first.
Yes, I would. I was trying to think, like, what can I say that's not sex scrims? Because we've spent all this whole episode talking up Chip.
Chip's all right.
And he's had plenty. You know what I have been reading recently is collected trades of the first Wonder Woman comics in chronological order.
Oh,
So the original, like, she gets tied up all the time.
Mm-hmm.
There's spanking all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She has her sidekick, Etta Candy, who loves eating candy.
Etta Candy's amazing.
Yep.
She is amazing. She used to be not like candy, and then she was malnourished, and Wonder Woman gave her candy in the hospital. Now she loves candy.
Oh.
And her husband, or like her father, is hard candy.
Oh, God.
Like, it's just, it's amazing. These comics are super surreal. But there's this panel in one of them where Hitler's in it, because it's the 40s.
Right.
And Hitler, it says, gets really mad and he starts to eat his rug.
What?
It's like, what is this? And it shows him, like, eating the rug.
Okay.
And I was like, is this a thing? Like, what is this? I don't understand it. So I made a post about it and we looked into it. And it turns out during World War II, there were these rumors, friend of a friend style rumors, where Hitler would get really angry all the time and sit down and gnaw on the rug covering the room that he was in.
Oh, my God.
So there's this thing that Hitler would eat the rug when he got angry.
What?
In that context, it kind of makes more sense. There's a Looney Tunes cartoon where Daffy Duck gets Hitler so mad that he runs along his rug like a lawnmower, eating the rug. So what I'm saying is these comics are very educational,
Mm-hmm.
and I guess you asked for recommendation. I'm not sure if I'd recommend them.
I would
but
recommend them.
If you see them, check them out. Some of them are super racist.
Yes,
Oh,
those ones in Superman's girlfriend Lois Lane are my favorite older comics because they are so offensive sometimes, but also like charming.
Yeah, well, it's like one guy's voice, and he's like, "Yes, this is what Wonder Woman is," and you get this very particular view of the character, which is fascinating. And you see the beginnings of stuff that comes later, but a lot of it's different and weird, and Hitler's there often. He's eating rugs. So I'm going to recommend Hitler Eating Rug comics.
Cool.
Erica?
I miss those. I'm just gonna say, like, commenting on those because, like, I feel like Wonder Woman right now. But I loved Azzarello's run on it. That was really fun.
Yeah, me too.
But for the most part, she's just sort of been like amorphous. Like, they don't know what to do with her. They don't know what she stands for. And I look at the old ones, and there's this one part in one of the early ones that I always go back to because I think it's like my favorite Wonder Woman, where she's on Venus and she's talking to like the winged ladies of Venus, and they're saying they need help because all their men have been kidnapped, and but also like they're in charge. Wonder Woman's asking like, "Oh, how did you manage this?" And they're like, "Well, we have wings and they don't, and so if they ever do anything we don't like, we can just fly away." And she was like, "Yeah, that's a great way to manage your men." And I was like, "Yes, this is Wonder Woman."
Wow. Yeah. I definitely think that she does become this thing where people are like, well, she's Wonder Woman, but they don't really understand like what her personality is. Or
I feel like they're afraid to make her too feminist.
Yeah, which doesn't
And
really
I
make
think
any
that, like,
sense because that's kind of like
I know.
her thing. I don't know. I really loved Azzarella's run because they went so hard with the Greek god stuff. Like they really stuck to a thing and they were like, okay, we're using Greek gods. Like we're going really into that, and that's what this is going to be about. It's Wonder Woman in the pantheon kind of thing, and like that was really cool.
But I think also like, you know, she was very unapologetically in charge, and they had like a main character who was like a single pregnant woman who like, no judgments there. And then there was Hera, who also like you do a complete 180 on. And it was just, that's like, I feel like that was as close as we got to like a feminist Wonder Woman in like a very, very long time.
Yeah, and I mean they did change her origin where she was like born of man instead of clay, which was weird. But
they've been doing that for a long time though.
Yeah. But I mean, there were so many things that I loved about that comic. I mean, I love Cliff Chiang's art. I'm a huge fan, and I love that he drew her so strong, and I love that her costume made sense of that outfit. Like I've talked about it before, but it's where like that metal plate on top of it like holds down the costume to her chest instead of being a weird shelf bra, which it's like, because
you and I know how corsets work.
Yeah. We understand. And like that it's almost like a clamp on the top of that outfit to keep everything in place.
Yeah.
Which was, I appreciated that so much. And it was so funny when other people would do other covers for that series and draw that costume and she would have like enormous bubbling out cleavage. I was like, you don't understand how this works. But
I may not know how corsets work, but I know what I like.
But I loved it. And I also really loved that a lot of the time she wasn't colored as being white, I mean, Cliff Chiang generally, when he did those, like the covers and the interiors, a lot of the time she had darker skin, like was Greek, made more sense. But yeah, I got sidetracked. I just really love the way he dressed Wonder Woman.
I agree. I love it too.
It's so good. So Erica, other than that, what would you recommend? Anything involving Hitler? Because since we got on that topic,
anything involving Hitler.tumblr.com.
Oh God.
I don't know that I've read anything Hitler related right now.
Let's just get off this.
I feel like a lot of things that I really like are ending. Because like I was really into She-Hulk, really into Hawkeye.
Still good to recommend them though. I mean, there's trades out that people can read.
It's true.
The books still exist.
Yeah.
It's true.
You missed your chance.
Oh no.
It's over forever.
Okay, then I'm gonna recommend something that's been out for a while, but you can still get. It's just no one ever talks about it. It's this thing called Castle Waiting.
Oh yeah, that book's beautiful.
I know, I love it, and it's all just like about storytelling. And I feel like the first volume, you wind up getting like a story within a story within a story within a story, and I'm like, I don't even care. I'm just so into this.
It's pretty awesome. Yeah, they have like a pretty dedicated fan base, those comics.
Yeah, and there's
Linda Medley. I just looked it up.
Yes.
There you go.
Yeah, there's 2 volumes of that out, and it's been coming out very slowly over a very long period of time. So I don't know when volume 3 is going to be out, but
well, there you go. So guys, what's up next for Squirrel Girl? Give me a brief synopsis. She's going into the moon.
She's going to the moon.
Without spoiling anything.
She's going to fight
tease.
Galactus.
Mm-hmm.
And
who
Whiplash.
knows who will win?
She might die in the first panel.
It's true. It's an ironic title.
There's little tiny quotes around Unbeatable if you look very closely.
The easily beatable Squirrel Girl.
They're in this really light yellow. It's really hard to read, but they're there.
So other than the moon, anything else?
Other than the moon, the next issue is a standalone.
Oh.
That is fun and exciting. And then there's another arc with a new villain.
Ooh.
That I don't want to spoil, but
I was going to say, there are a lot of times in the middle of the night, either I'll be reading about something or my boyfriend will show me something, and I'll just like email Ryan in the middle of the night and be like, Ryan, look at this thing that's vaguely related to squirrels or animals in the Marvel Universe.
It's the greatest.
That's pretty awesome, though. I mean, there's I don't know, like we've all worked in comics in different ways, and having those awesome collaborative relationships is kind of the best thing where you can do that. You know, I've had projects where it's like hand in the script and then the person draws it and we don't talk to each other. But that's really great.
It always feels so weird, eh?
I hate it. It's so weird. Like Ian and I on Bravest Warriors, we talk like every couple days, and same thing with Scissorhands. It's like, you know, it's nice. It's nice to have that, and I'm glad that you guys do. I'm glad that you became friends through Squirrel Girl. That's the cutest thing possible.
All we needed was a squirrel girl.
Well,
But she was within us all along.
she was
That's a
always
secret.
there.
Oh,
She
man.
was always there.
I feel like we need to start making U Club buttons or patches.
I want one. I would wear one. I really liked the clubs in that issue. I remember like just knowing Ryan when I got to the thing. They were like, "Oh, let's go sign up for clubs." I was like, "This is gonna be good. This is gonna be
There's
full
so
of
many
background
clubs
panel gigs."
that aren't in there. Like,
Oh, I bet.
Brian just made like the longest list of clubs.
Yeah, I had to spend a couple hours making clubs.
I believe it. I 100% believe it. Ryan, if people want to find more things from you on the internet, I don't think that's very difficult, is it?
No, you can type in exotica.ca. That brings you to dinosaur comics.
Does it really?
It does. Since we're getting a little blue, I believe hotforthecock.com also points to dinosaur comics right now.
Oh my god.
I moved that one around. I sometimes used to point to a picture of Joey for a while. I just
Just
Mix
dot
it up.
com. Oh my god, it does. I just did it. That's
so check
amazing.
me out
I
at
need to go there too.
hotforthecock.com.
Ryan, have you ever been to funholly.com?
Fun Holly? No.
No.
Should I do it while we're on the air?
You should probably do it right now.
Wow. Wow.
It's Holly Rowland's LinkedIn account.
I get a picture of a cat.
Yes, it is. But when anyway, I changed it for a while. Like all in the meta tags is like Holly Rowland. For a while, when you looked her up, this would show up as like
that's
her
amazing.
LinkedIn account. Domain names, right? It's great.
Yeah, they're great.
Hot.
So poo.ca, hotforthecock.com, exotica.ca, jabisiomime.us also points there. That's Dinosaur Comics, and also you can, I guess, my Wikipedia page link. I haven't read my Wikipedia page for a while. Hopefully it's not full of like allegations and lies, but that links to a bunch of stuff I do.
And if somebody wants to find you on Twitter, you are at Ryan Q North.
Yes, Twitter is the best. I love it. Let's have fun on Twitter. At Ryan Q North.
Mm-hmm.
Fun times.
As long as
The
you
only social network
tweet
I don't
him before 10 p.m. Eastern time, because Ryan goes to bed early.
Yeah, but I get up early.
That's
so
true.
suck on that.
It's true. You get up hours before I do. It's amazing.
Yeah.
When
When do you go to bed?
When do I go to bed? About 4 o'clock in the morning.
We got to settle this before we go on.
I go to bed about 4 in the morning.
When I go to bed.
Well, my
We can hang
boyfriend's
out.
in
Four in the morning?
my boyfriend's in Los Angeles, so we stay up and talk, and then it's always 4 a.m. because it's midnight for him. And since I work freelance and he has a day job, this is what we do. And now I live on LA time, so it's great when I go to Los Angeles because I wake up at like 7:30 in the morning, feel fresh as a daisy,
Like your friend Ryan.
like my friend Ryan, my dear friend Ryan North. Erica, where can we find you on Los Internets?
I post most of my stuff to my Tumblr, ericafailsatlife.tumblr.com. And I'm on Twitter at ericafails.
That's such a. Every time I have to look for the name, I feel bad typing it in. So I'm just like, but you don't.
Dude.
You're doing very well.
Well, I am now.
It's very exciting. Squirrel Girl's the best. Everybody should pick up The Unbeatable Squirrel Girl. 2 issues are out now. Ryan and Erica, you do a million things, and you're extremely wonderful. Thank you both for being on this bizarre thing that is my podcast.
Thanks for having us on your radio show.
It's live next week.
Seems a little less than live to me.
And with that, I bid you both good day.
I ruined everything.
And I hung up on them. And that's how it ended.
I know that you want into the pages inside my heart.
Well, that's our show. We'll be back very soon with new guests and new comics if, oh my god, I ever get some time to catch up and sleep. In the meantime, you know it, rate and review us on iTunes and Stitcher. If you like the show and want to make sure we stay warm for the long, cold dark of winter, consider donating on villagesoundcast.com or through our Patreon at patreon.com/lessthanlive. You get extras and I'll talk to you. I usually do. I check it pretty often. If you've got any questions or want more, you can find us on Facebook, on Twitter at LTLcast, and you can get show notes after every episode at lessthanlivecast.tumblr.com. That's if I mentioned comics too fast and you would rather Google them much more easily by copying and pasting. Thanks again to everyone who submitted to our first contest. It definitely won't be our last. It was awesome. It was so weird. Some of you are super weird, but really nice, and thanks for listening to our show. Remember, if you don't have a Valentine, you'll always have this podcast, and it'll never do you wrong. Eat some discount chocolate. I'll miss you.
Did you know I've been staring at you this whole time? This was a Village Soundcast Network original production.
And a very special interview with the creative team behind the unbeatable Squirrel Girl. Ugh, Squirrel Girl's really hard to say. Shit. I'll start again. Sorry. Squirrel Girl.